In It Gets Weirder News, submitted by the Lannisters.
I like them.
I like them too.
Of an adopted child say they've been frauded and the girl is actually an adult sociopath.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Can you say that one more time?
Okay. Parents of an adopted child say they've been frauded and the girl is actually an adult sociopath.
What if it was like Gary Coleman or like Andy Milonakis, where like they still look young, but then they're actually older, and then they get like adopted, and then you're like, oh, look at this cute kid, and then they're actually crazy.
You literally just said what he said.
Isn't there like a whole movie about that where there's like a little girl?
It's called Orphan.
Yeah, and she like pulls her teeth out.
Yeah.
And isn't her name
Is it
Esther?
scary? Because I didn't watch it.
So it
Flirting
is
with
like
the
that.
stepdad or the dad or something like that?
It is like that. So, okay.
But is it true?
There are two versions of this story. I'm gonna tell you both versions, but they both have the same facts, right? So we can just decide who we want to believe. So in this first version, I'm gonna tell you some facts. This couple already had a child. His name is Jake. He has autism. He's been diagnosed with autism since he was 2. He grew up to be a child prodigy. He like is this math and physics whiz, and he got a paper published at 12 and accepted to this like crazy physics institute.
God damn.
15. Yeah, and so also
The ultimate Asian.
they adopted this Ukrainian girl from the Ukraine, and but she had come over with a different adoptive family, and then something fell through, and so they had to do like a last minute adoption, and they like had, it was like a 24-hour turnaround type thing, and she was a 6-year-old girl, and they were like, of course we want to take her in.
Wait, was the first kid adopted? The genius?
No,
Oh, that was their actual.
that was their kid. Yeah.
Question, I don't know anything about the orphan business, but in the orphan business, do they have kids that are like more on sale?
I don't know.
These kids are like, you know when you go to a store,
Like the fucked up kids?
The shoe store where the shoes they can't sell for 3 seasons, that's like 50%
I think they're all on sale. I think it's the whole bargain basement over there.
It's like the shelter.
It's actually really hard to adopt in LA though.
It really
So
is.
it's not like a premium pet store. It's more like the LA County shelter.
Yeah.
But not some of them are more incentives to get this kid.
I don't know.
Because I was just saying if this crazy.
I wonder if there's like premium breeders too.
Yeah.
No. There are actually like when they harvest eggs, like when you get your depending on what your IQ level is and what your genetics look
is like why they
they'll
come
pay
to
you
the-
more money for your eggs.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you could get
You
like,
really ain't no bitch, huh?
you know, like if you're buying sperm or some shit, right, or like eggs or whatever, you could like pick them.
Yeah.
But like, when does it get like not moral? Like when, you know, like.
I'm sure over like in different countries. it might
He'll be like, we have these parents. They're very tall. They're very intelligent, and then like you can adopt their newborn or whatever. And
Well,
it's
actually,
like,
that category you're talking about, that's when before the baby is born, they arrange that with the parents way ahead of time.
Anyway, in this Terupt, don't you want to know what happened?
I do, but I just didn't know if this orphan was on the clearance.
She wasn't on discount.
Oh, she wasn't.
She was just like, oh, I need help because my adoption fell through. Can you help? And they were like, yes, we've been wanting to adopt. They're like on the short list of parents that were like ready to adopt.
why would they want to when they already have a genius in the house?
Well, because
everyone-
he went off to physics school.
Oh.
And some people want to have their own kid, and some people they want to have both.
I think when I'm an adult, I'll have one kid and then adopt another.
That's nice.
Yeah, because I want them to have a sibling, but I don't want to go through the pain.
Yeah. So this, they say,
Would you treat the
that
sibling
she
different?
she says she wants to, she wanted to give a better life to as many people as she could because she felt very privileged, and she's like, if I could just make one person's life better, it'd be great.
That's tight.
Yeah. So then, so they knew right away that she did have this bone disorder. It's a rare bone growth disorder that results in dwarfism, but even when they interviewed the mom, so they abandoned this girl at 8 years old. They changed her birth date so that it said that she was 22, and they left her in an apartment while they went off to Canada.
Her first parents.
No, this set of parents. So when you hear this story, it's like she got adopted by these people. She's 6 years old. 2 years later, she's 8 years old. They leave to Canada to go help their autistic son with the physics stuff, and they bought her own apartment, changed her birthday so it said she was 22 years old, and like left her there.
That's crazy.
Now they're getting.
She must have been a fucking huge problem.
Yeah, so now they're getting. So now the parents are getting in trouble. This is 5 years later, and they're getting detained and.
So she survived there for 5 years, like a full-grown adult.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, so she had some people come in and be like, oh, there's this little girl like living next door. we need to save her, and they alerted authorities, and then the authorities were like, holy shit, and then like 5 years later they got the parents back over there, and like they're
Bill's hella stacked.
Yeah.
Come on in. Just going through these.
So
I got
What
light,
if the parents
bro.
were like this? What if the parents was like, okay, our first kid, this guy's a fucking genius. When he was 8, he could do all these things, drive a car, get into college. You're 8, can't you do the same thing?
Yeah.
See you later, I'm gonna buy you an apartment. But he didn't realize that the other kid wasn't as smart as the first
You know
kid.
what's funny is what if they just like self-diagnosed the kid to be a sociopath because their first kid was autistic, right? So that's their like foundation of what they think a kid is.
Yeah.
And then the second one is just like a normal kid, and you're like, oh, this one's fucking nuts.
yeah.
Oh,
But
they saw it backwards.
It got approved by the courts to change her age to 22.
Why?
After seeing these papers.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, so the courts in Indianapolis are like, yeah, we think you're right. They changed her age to 22, and that's where it gets really weird. Because like in this first article, it kind of makes the mom seem crazy because the dad and her divorced, and the dad's like, yeah, I always knew she was a little girl, but my ex-wife would coach her to say that she was 22. And so it sounds like the mom is kind of nutty. But then you read this other article where it gets more into details, and she, when they first adopted her, the girl couldn't walk. She was 6 years old, and they weren't told that the girl couldn't walk, so they were having to carry her everywhere. Well, then they go to the beach. They used to go to the beach on the weekends, and one of the times they're on the beach, and she wants to go in the water. So she's like, "Please carry me into the water." And they're like, "We're kind of tired right now. Just give us like 10 minutes." And she was like, "No, I want to go in the water now." And she just gets up and runs into the water.
What?
So that was weird. Then
Starts doing butterflies.
yeah. So all of a sudden,
She's all backstroking.
so all of a sudden she couldn't walk forever, and then all of a sudden she could run. So she was lying about that.
That's weird.
Then they were giving her a bath. The second weird thing was that she's 6 years old.
But she had a period come out.
That comes later. But she had full pubic hairs. 6 years old. So they were like, this is
Wait,
not normal
what?
for a 6-year-old. So that's when they started having, and then they found like bloody clothes that she was trying to hide from having her period. So then they brought her in to get her bone density tested so they could actually find out her real age. Because the birth certificate's fucked. It's like not anywhere. They can't find it. So they test for her real age, and the first time they get tested, they're like, yeah, she's about 8 years old, like, because this is 2 years later, so like, yeah, it's an 8-year-old. And then they're like, we're not sure. So they go to this other place, and they're like, no. They looked at her teeth. She had full adult teeth, all adult teeth, and they're like, they measured a couple other things, and they said even with dwarfism, the girl would still be growing at least an inch over the past 2 years. She hadn't grown at all. So they speculated that she was actually 22 years old. And the other reason they were bringing her in for testing is that she started getting really murdery. So she tried to push the wife into an electric fence while she was shouting that she wanted to kill her and she wanted to see her die. She was like, I want to see you die, and like was pushing her into this electric fence.
But she's like 3 feet tall though.
Yeah. But then another time,
Hey, little things can be scary.
That's
Like
probably
fucking
why I did
Annabelle the doll.
Yeah. But Annabelle doesn't have full pubic hair.
yeah. So then another
She doesn't
time,
get a period, which is even crazier.
another time the mom was turning the corner and saw the little girl pouring bleach into her coffee. And the mom was like, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm trying to poison you.
This is Annabelle.
What?
Yeah. And then at times she would tell everyone, she's like, I'm gonna kill this whole family. And they had to hide all of the knives in the whole house. And they would wake up to her in the middle of the night, like staring over them in bed.
Oh, yeah.
And she said that she would do it when the time was right.
Why don't they just kick her? She's like,
Beat her ass. She's 22.
Well, she's a
But they
kid.
still live with her.
That's when, and they
I mean,
still,
like, you could make
loved
her stay outside.
Like if you watch the movie Orphan, like they really they wanted to love her. Like they went
After
into
they
this.
found out she was 22, she's getting that ass whooped.
So yeah, so they
To get your ass
take
beat.
her to a psychiatric place too, so that she can get evaluated. And all of the professionals there were like, yeah, she has like a psychological disorder that we only see in adults. Like she's actually a sociopath. But then when they went to, like, now that they're being questioned about it, they can't find any of these documents that prove that like she's this 22-year-old sociopath.
So who's the real sociopath?
Right. But then you look at this lady, and she was running a foster care. She had this like adult, like this child prodigy, and then she was on 60 Minutes, like talking about like the son. And then now
Well, she had a foster care, but she still wanted to adopt?
Well, that's kind of how you get into being able to adopt that fast. Is like you have to prove that you're good at
But
parenting.
is the kid still like telling people, I'm 8 years old, guys, I'm 8?
Yeah, so
I'm
this
not
is
22.
so after they abandoned her, they were like, okay, she's 22. They got her age officially changed, like legally changed on her birth certificate. And the mom was like, hey, I wanted to give her the best life I could give her.
So she ran away.
But it was just too scary. Like, we couldn't stay in that household. This wasn't a child. This was actually an adult, and she was a psychopath, and I couldn't put my family in danger, but I still wanted to help her because I still, like, had the best intentions. So they actually
Someone else's problem.
They paid for the apartment for a year. They picked out furniture together, and the child actually admitted several times that she was over 18.
Well, why does it? I mean, can't we just like close the case and like have her get tested by professionals?
Yeah, so I guess it's
Well, by the mom, and they can't find those papers.
they can't. Yeah, they can't find the papers, and the person that tested and said that she was 22. Like, they're now saying that they're not sure, or they can't find the papers, or where they said that, or whatever. Because this is 5 years later, but the courts have agreed that. Like, they still agree with the initial verdict that she is 22.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you're a lawyer and you're trying to present the case that she is 22, and you have 3 facts, right? Pubic hair,
Yeah.
teeth.
That's a fully grown woman.
Right?
Yeah, she's full grown.
How do you know?
I don't know.
She's full grown.
I mean,
She's not 6.
She looks sick.
She has adultism. She's got dwarfism. She need to get a fucking job. That's it. That's the verdict.
Yeah,
Crack,
so
get a job.
Looks like a little girl to me.
I guess she's been pulling this over on a lot of people. So after they left her in the apartment, they're like, she seemed like she was like, okay, I'm gonna turn my life around. But then they found out she was like tricking the neighbors, and like when the parents went back to visit, they found like a little girl's dress, like a princess dress in her closet, and like a little tricycle on the side of the building. So they're like, oh, she's doing that thing again where she's pretending to be a child. Or is she a child? We don't know. Because there's not any like documents to be like, she's for sure a 22-year-old or she's for sure
I feel like there should be.
There should be.
How has she been taking care of herself? That's my question.
At the orphanage, maybe?
Begging, like other concerned adults were like, oh no, this kid has been abandoned.
Yeah, but if she's like at home cooking like a full-on meal,
Yeah.
6-year-olds can't do that.
But no one sees that because her doors are closed.
See, that's what I want to see. If she's out there smoking a cigarette and fucking doing some like,
Damn, that's crazy.
So this other couple tried to adopt her after being appalled that she was like left. They were like, we want to adopt this child, and that's why it brought the original family back into the States. And they objected, being like, this is a 22-year-old, you can't adopt her.
Pulled out her pants. She got the puby.
Yeah.
Look at those things.
And then the courts were like, oh, actually, we think she's 22. Like, you can't adopt her. Wow. So then it fell through.
That's scary.
Wow.
I just want to hear what she.
that's like Chucky, man.
Like, how is she still trying to convince them? Like, no, I'm a kid. I need to get
I
adopted.
mean, look at her. She looks like a kid to me.
She does look like a kid, except like
I would
don't
kick
know,
the
like,
fuck out of her like a football.
Like, look at this posture, though. Hold on. Hey.
That's why you can't trust kids, man.
I don't know. You could kind of see it.
Is that them?
I don't see it.
Like, as being an adult.
She's an adult. I see that she's a little kid.
Is that them? Is that the parents?
This is
that
their.
adopted them?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't trust anyone that wears Hollister. They're lying.
Well, they're divorced. He's divorced.
Okay.
Divorced him for that.
Good lady.
So they divorced after all of this.
Yeah. Well, they divorced a couple years ago before they got pulled back for questioning, and
How did they even find this girl?
because she was like abandoned.
Yeah,
It
but
was, like,
that's what I want to know. Because was she at the
You
orphanage?
found them.
Oh, originally they didn't
Yeah.
ask too many questions.
See,
So they
because
don't
if she's
know.
just chilling at the park, she's like, yeah, I'm kind of not like it's not working out with me and my adoptive
Yeah.
parents, and then they're like, oh, well, we're looking to adopt. Like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
Well, she's an orphan. She's a foster, right?
Yeah, and so, I don't know if she was originally a foster or they called because
She had
her
her.
family runs a foster home.
Yeah.
But all they heard was that this adoption process fell through, and that this girl needed an adoptive parents immediately, and then they were on the list because they run this foster home.
Oh, okay.
So she was like, okay, yeah, no.
So she could have been running a scam with her friends in the Ukraine.
Yeah,
Like,
but
hey.
the other thing is she doesn't have a Ukraine accent, and she can't remember anything about her homeland, And
So she's not
So
Ukrainian.
she's not from Ukraine.
had a Ukraine friend come over and speak the native language, and the girl couldn't understand anything.
So she's a scam artist.
Yeah.
She's born and raised in
How
America.
she's like articulating too. Does she sound like? Is she talking like a 6-year-old?
That's the other thing. No, she uses adult verbiage. Like she has a
This
very
is just
advanced,
preposterous. She's saying like words like big ass words.
a
This is
very
outrageous.
advanced vocabulary. And then so because
But white kids kind of sound like that.
the mom, but the mom runs this daycare, right? And like one time the girl was watching the daycare and was like, "Ugh, I don't know how you deal with all these children," and she just said it like an adult. Like she's like, I'd be going.
I've met kids like that though that speak like adults.
That's true, but like this is somebody that deals with a lot of children,
And that's wild.
This girl didn't even have the like tone of a child.
The parents
Yeah.
fucked up by just abandoning him, and they should have been like, "Hey, I don't want us to look suspicious."
Bury
so
her alive,
This
huh?
is yep.
So they have been released on a $5,000 bail, but yeah, they're still going through this.
Wow, they fucked up though.
Oh, she was doing some crazy shit too. She was jumping out of moving cars. She was smearing blood on mirrors. She was like doing things
Yeah,
that you
nah.
wouldn't imagine a child doing, and she was threatening to kill the whole family all the time.
That's some movie shit. She watched a lot of.
Would you keep her in your household, or would you?
No, I'd call the cops on that bitch.
Yeah.
but she's a child.
Yeah, I would still call the cops.
Yeah, also, I'm just gonna say it's fucking weird that they paid for an apartment and left her there. Call the police.
Exactly.
I would
Thank
call
you.
the police and then take her pants off so when the cops come, they know what they're dealing with. Oh shit, she's got pubic hair.
You're getting arrested for.
No.
Okay, but if you had a child and they were like out of control and you called the cops on them, the cops would be like, "That's your problem."
That's why the pubic hair has to show and they go, oh, it's an adult.
So you pants them.
I pants them.
I fucking put as soon as I figure out she's 22, I kick her out, put a restraining order on her.
That's the thing that they had to prove she was 22, and that's why they were able to leave her because
They're too nice. This is what happens when you're too nice.
Yeah,
But once they,
You want to adopt people? That's your problem.
yeah.
is there an age on adopting?
Under 18.
Under 18. So once they see that she's 22, does that cancel the adopting?
Yeah,
thing?
that's how they were able to get away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, crazy. Look
She
it up.
ruins it for all the good adoptee kid potentials
All
out
the
there.
adoptees.
Yeah.